Chris, you have a great story of, was it Tudor Bampa you went and saw in the snowstorm?
Yeah, I did.
All right. So you drove your Bronco,
I
right?
had a black Bronco.
Okay. You
Nice.
drove it through the snow. No one else was there. It was just you and Tudor Bampa. Um, do you think young coaches, or just a lot of coaches in general, need that sort of we're going to award it pilgrimage to go see a guru and just find somebody who knows so much about one subject and just immerse themselves in that?
Yeah, I think everyone gets tastes of everyone now. Like you see
Yeah.
an Instagram post of someone doing one exercise, and all of a sudden you've summed up that person's entire career by one post that you've seen. So going to meet someone like that and having time, luckily have time to sit with him because I was the only person there. There was another guy there, but he didn't know much. You really learn a lot. And when you actually sit and talk to people instead of making quick assessments and judgments about people based on one thing that you've heard or seen or bounced around or just been twisted around. People are a lot more deep than social media, usually, especially people who have put stuff out and have created things. And so, yeah, I think meeting people face to face goes a long way. Going to clinics and hearing people talk. Even if you only hear one or good two people at your clinic, go meet people and talk with them and see what's going on instead of, this very superficial existence that most people have with each other these days, which is mostly reading a meme about an exercise and watch them dance around and get all jacked up. And it's like, I don't know. It just creates a lot of noise. I think as a young coach or an old coach, you have to eliminate the noise and get to the signal and find who's giving out that signal.
And then there's something about FaceTime, right?
Yeah.
Getting in front of somebody rather than sending an email and asking for something. Like, I showed up at Mel Siff's house. I went to Jay Schroeder out in Arizona. I went to Jay Schroeder in Wisconsin. I went to him in Minnesota. Yeah, get out and get in front of people and know them. Learn the learners too. Like, you got to
Yeah.
know people. And then maybe it tells their story a little bit better. Like, I got to be honest with you, like, as I sit around and think about all the people I've got an opportunity to talk about, I always hear some people when we're talking going, yeah, I've heard of you and Corfus before. And Corfus is the guy who doesn't squat. I'm like, did you ever ask the guy how much he squatted? He was at one point in his life, he probably squatted a shit ton.
I used to
I
be a
go,
pretty good lifter back in
yeah.
the day.
So I go, why don't you listen to the whole story of why he maybe doesn't? Or maybe he still does, and you just took one soundbite from something, So I encourage the younger kids to put the cell phone down and go find somebody. And that's how you show people you care. Like, I have a guy who's local here who drives 2 hours, probably 3 times in the summer, to come out and just watch. He doesn't ask me any questions. He just watches. Watches. Enough, guys. Just watches. That's how you learn.
And even better than, just as good at that, go coach someone instead of looking at different things to do and putting together some kind of workout, and email. Go coach. Go find someone that may not be the ideal client that you want, and find a way to communicate with them. Learn different ways to communicate, because the difference between coaching and being an exercise instructor is coaching is you've got to give people the belief that they can accomplish things. An exercise instructor is someone who comes out and tells you what to do and doesn't create that bridge, that magical bridge that gives people hope that they can be something. You're never going to get to be a coach if you don't practice in motivating people, and however that may be. It can be a simple little sentence. It can be something like, Gary, you've heard of this guy, whatever his name is, John Smith. He was second in state. You just beat him at that. So you can do this. all of your other numbers, because most of the time kids don't make it to that next level because they don't believe they can. That's your job as a coach, to make them believe that they can get to the next level. I think I made that point this past weekend too, where I was differentiating between an exercise instructor, and there's nothing wrong with that. You've got it written down on a piece of paper. That's important too. But the real magic happens in getting kids to believe. Any athlete, not just kids, but I can say kids now because I'm 56, and anyone who's still competing is definitely younger than me.
Yeah.
It's funny, when we were flying back from South Carolina, I was talking to Van Dyke, and he said, your guys' presentations are your presentations. He goes, where the magic is with you two guys is when you just talk. And when you talk, you can already see the coaching evolving and turning on and the light going on and on. Like when I was speaking, Chris was going through what he was going to, when he was speaking, I was going, wait a minute, I want to add. It just happens that fast because we have so many different experiences of so many different things that the more we chat, and this is why I think this is going to be a great podcast. The more
this is
ideas
the
we're gonna come
introduction.
up with.
Eventually, we will talk about exercises and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that really hits home when someone like a guy like Van Dyke, who he's
So
one of those
say
young
who
guys.
Matt Van Dyke is.
I don't know. You'd say who he is. He's a friend of mine. How's that?
He's our friend, but he's director of performance for the Houston Texans.
And in this group of strength and conditioning coaches or performance coaches, you have a lot of data-driven guys. Like you have all the sports science in the world now. I got to South Carolina and I'm watching that guy move. I don't have one of those pieces of equipment. Now, Chris has done it all the way I've done it, and now he has the data. So he can come, you can put a guy like Matt Van Dyke on a floor at an SEC school and he'll coach him up. Or you could put him in the lab and he'll research him up. That's where the game's at. Can you have data, understand data, implement data, and can you be on the floor and interact with people and make that data come to life? And I think when Chris and I got together, that's what we started to realize happens is we start spitting out things and we're like, wait a minute, let's do this. Let's try this. Let's do this. We were talking 2 weeks before that conference and trying different stuff. That's where some real stuff goes on. It's awesome.
You guys are on fire right now. Yeah, I loved it. A lot of good sound bites in there, such as go coach someone. This past weekend, Dan, you were expressing how excited you are for the future. There's just a lot of bright young coaches out there that are learning all these kind of concepts earlier than you guys did, and they're gonna run with them. Now, going off kind of what Chris was saying there, do you feel though, as virtual conferences are being way more popular, social media coaching is becoming more popular, do you fear that there will be a loss of that face-to-face, person-to-person coaching aspect? So even though they may have all the book knowledge, they might not have the ability to apply it.
Yeah, but I think it'll be your own personal, that's your fault, because you still can have access to all the internet stuff that you want and all the data you want. But in order to truly learn something, you better go to the source and you better study with that person. And again, and you saw that a little bit this weekend where there's some presentations where there's a regurgitation. Jay Shorter used to kill me for that. Don't just regurgitate. Don't you feel it. Feel what we're trying to do. And he was right. You need to make mistakes to learn. And we'll sit here and tell you all the, I don't know, maybe all the good things we've done in strength and conditioning. What about all the mistakes we made? There's a hell of a lot of them because there's a hell of a lot of learning going on. I could tell you some stories that, whoo.
Are you guys setting yourself up for the Victor Corfus camp where people come and stay in your basement for a couple nights and then you just get to learn from the gurus yourselves?
No, we're not doing that.
Yeah, I figured. We're moving on.
Sleep with 4 dogs.
Yeah, there you go. Don't have any meat sticks in your pocket if you head over to Chris's house. So for you guys right now, do you think it's important for young, old, all coaches to kind of expose themselves to certain ideas, certain philosophies, a certain Mount Rushmore coaches or principles, right? So we've mentioned Louis Simmons. Is it important to have an idea or learn about all the skis coaches, Verkashansky, Zatsiorsky? Does everyone need to read Super Training? Does everyone need to know the strength principles behind 5-3-1 or the 5x5 program? Again, like we're kind of always talking the basics and foundations, learning the addition and subtraction before the calculus. Are there things like that out there in your mind?
It's a pretty good question. All right, I'll go out on a limb and say, with modern technology, you probably don't have to do that. You probably have to, I would say, understand what you're chasing. So when you get there, you know the roots of it, right? So if you are into neurology, that's your thing. When you get there, you better know the Professor Carricks. You better know the Dr. Gillettes. Better know all the guys that made it what it is when you get there. You're not going to get there and say you did it, right? Same thing with if you're a triphasic guy. You better not get there and say I created triphasic. You better get there and say, hey, Cal Dietz, and this is what I thought about this, and just know the history of it. I think
Yeah,
that's important.
I think the history and the context of knowing things is important too. When it came out, where it came from, what was the context, why it was created, and then create a strong enough knowledge base where you can refute things like, okay, this shouldn't work. This is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. I have no idea what that person's trying to do there. Stuff like that, where you have enough knowledge to make decisions about what should work and what shouldn't.
One of the best presentations, one of my favorite presentations you've given at a track football consortium, usually every December in Elmhurst, Illinois, Chris, was you started off with just 20-30 minutes of the history of periodization and how it was a Soviet 4-year plan thing where, all right, we're doing strength now, so then the coach doesn't get in trouble. And then you later went into, here's how I do it. I film a 10 fly on Monday, and then Wednesday and Friday we do drills based off of what I'm seeing there. Can you just go a bit into that history, Chris, of how periodization kind of came about, or summarize that presentation quickly for us?
Well, the Soviet Union, again, their job is to prove that they were superior in everything. Very bureaucratic system where everyone's supposed to be equal, but you move up in the world by doing well for the Soviet Union. So coaches had to come up with ways to take everyone in their country and bring it down to a smaller group, but then they had to prove, systemize a way to show that you did this. And if your way worked and you won a gold medal, you got a medal as well, and you ate better and you moved up in the world. You got a better apartment. So it's really the bureaucracy of what they've created and tried to replicate Olympic after Olympics after Olympics to prove that they were the dominant government in the world. And it's different than the United States, where for us, the Olympics is kind of a 2-week something else to watch on TV, where every other country in the world is. That's a way to prove that they are ahead of everyone else. Like the Norwegians, the per capita of medals is outrageous. I mean, it's incredible, especially when you add in the Winter Olympics. That's a source of pride for them. Here, our Olympic gold medalists get to be on the Wheaties box for a week and a couple commercials, and then all of a sudden, you're gone. The periodization, to answer your question, the periodization was created as a way to systemize a way to create gold medalists to prove that the Soviet Union was supreme. And everything they did was based on that. That was the entire purpose of why they did things. Because remember, that's a government that was trying to get erased from the planet by everyone else, and they had to prove that they were something. So Stalin had a 5-year plan for industrialization, 5-year plan for agricultural revolution, 5-year plan for this, 5-year plan to get rid of everyone he doesn't like. All those different things were various plans that bureaucracies could carry out. And that's exactly what the Soviet became. The athletic system became, was a bureaucracy to find the best athletes and train them. And remember, for a Soviet, your job is to give your life for the government. That's why Kennedy's phrase, where he turned it the other way. So if you're going to take a lot of drugs to win a gold medal, that was worth it. That's what you're there for, to sacrifice for the government.
So as Chris is sharing this with us, Dan, when did you break free of the classical bureaucracy of Western periodization and strength conditioning? When was the moment for you where you're like, I don't think this is it anymore?
I'm trying to remember who I heard say, okay, so we have a hypertrophy phase, we have a strength phase, we have a power phase. And then actually, I think it was Charlie Francis. And then he said, we get to the time to run in the Olympics phase, and you have no more hypertrophy because it's way back here. Do you reach back in and try to grab it and bring it up here? Or you lost your strength along the way because you were only doing power and technique, right? Do I reach back and bring it? And he's like, or do you want to bring your whole tool bag to the start line and go, okay, now I'm ready to go? And then Jay Schroeder said to me, you know what? I want to be able to wake you up at any time during the night, bring you down to the track, and you can run what you run. That, to me, is a motor quality that you'll always have. And I'm going to tell you, over the last 20 years, so the kid who works in my gym, it's an incredible story. He's trained that way his whole life. Just intense, crazy volume, isometrics, absorbing force. If you told him to, at 30, I think he's 37 years old right now, he'll jump 40 inches. He'll bench 2.25, 20 times. It's incredible. He still has it. And he goes, I don't even warm up. I just get on there and do it. I said, when you get to be my age, that might change. But there's something to that in terms of, if you're creating motor change, you should be able to do it all the time. Not just if I diet right, if I periodize right, and on the 7th day of the first night of the second month, I'm going to run my fastest time. Well, I hope so. What happens if you had a stomach bug? Or what happens if you got a cold? And then the Russian said, ooh, when you get the flu, right before you get the flu and your body temperature's up, you break records. Ooh, let's do that. Let's inject people with the flu. There's just so much guessing that why not just change the whole motor plan and make it what you want it to be?
Any follow-up on that, Chris? Anything that kind of stood out with you, or do you remember your kind of breakout moment where you're like, man, I'm not getting the results of what everyone says should be happening?
I think I just got tired of building volume all the time. And when I found out that a lot of the track volume building was based on the swimming model because the swimmers were getting gold and the Americans weren't, it's like, well, this is kind of strange. Why am I building all this volume to run 100 meters once or twice? It didn't make much sense to me. And we did the old, okay, we're going to do 8 sets of 200 with 2 minutes rest, but next week we're going to 90 seconds rest. We're going to build more volume with it. It's like, it just got like, what are we doing here? Why are we doing this?
Okay. Now you slowly have swung back towards a little bit of volume or endurance, though, right? Like in the last couple of years, would you say you've been adding repetitions or adding
I've been
time?
adding repetitions, but I wouldn't say that we're out building volume running like 8 200s or anything like that. I like high reps because I want your muscle to fatigue out and continue to use that muscle when it's fatigued for stuff. But as far as actual volume for running, I don't do that anymore. I have no idea what our volume is. All I know is at a track meet, my good guys have to run 600 meters. They may have to run it a variety of different ways. I need to make sure that they're ready for that with a half hour to 40 minutes rest in between a race. And that's what I got to get them ready for.
Okay. Now to sort of start wrapping things up here, guys, this first episode was just all about background, and if you guys feel there's foundations for, hey, before you're going to try to understand this, first go back and sort of learn this. Now, with that being said, if someone was coming to your practice or someone was going to attend one of your TFC presentations, what should they know or understand beforehand? And this is kind of our final jump off precursor to what's to come on future episodes here. If someone was coming to your practice or someone was going to attend your TFC presentation, hey, Chris, hey, Dan, I'm coming up. What would you tell them to brush up on in the car or on their way up there beforehand to maybe have a better understanding and knowledge?
Good question. I don't know, because you don't know what everyone else's background is, or just come with an open mind.
I would say become well versed in isometrics and understand the positions because they have a huge carryover to locomotion, right? And then I would say take a look at your visual system, all the things that you don't know. I'm not saying you need to become an expert in it, but take a look at some of these things with your visual system, from smooth pursuits to saccades to convergence, divergence, and just get an idea that what we see is how we move. I heard a football coach, and I love listening to football coaches talk because they don't know what they're talking about, but they just say these soundbite phrases that make sense from a movement standpoint. See something to do it and make your eyes bleed. You're staring at it so much. That, to me, in science, that's gaze fixation, and that's a huge part of it. They've done research where you're staring at something and your strength goes through the moon, right? So it's little things like that. So I'd say isometrics and how your visual system impacts about 75% of the real estate of your brain. That's a good start for if you're going to listen to me talk.
Give one specific of, obviously, you, Chris, or Cal would be great for learning a bit more about isometrics. Who's someone they could throw on a podcast, a YouTube video, buy a book?
Cal.
Perfect. All right. Cal D's for isometrics, and then for the visual system, Dan, Dr. Carrick and all those guys there?
Yeah, I would say Dr.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, fellas, thank you so much for answering all my questions here today. I thought you did a phenomenal job, and I look forward to doing more of these in the future. Is there anything that's popping in your head of, oh, wait, this first, what about this, what about that, before we kind of wrap things up here?
I don't know. We can think about it and put it on the next one.
Perfect.
Let's end with this. Chris, back in the day, we used to do that forum with DB Hammer and everything. Let's get this thing going where people are generating some questions. They're generating some thought processes. They're asking us good questions because we got a good one running this. I mean, Chris,
Maybe
you're
that we can call
fantastic.
it the InnoSport podcast
2.0?
2.0.
No, some of
I
those
don't know if someone owns that word or anything.
We could find out. Yeah,
We
that
could.
would be
I don't
a
know.
good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I love it. And yeah,
Thanks,
I agree.
Chris.
No, thank you guys. We're definitely
Appreciate it,
open
buddy.
for questions. Reach out to any of us on any of our social medias. Just kind of is what it is. Probably I'm the younger of the three, maybe more my way for questions as we want to help. This podcast is solely about helping. Chris and Dan are teachers. That's what they're here for. So utilize them. I know I have, and if I took down this background right here, you'd see the work of my teams in the form of champ banners, and a large part of that is because of what I've learned from Chris and Dan. So thanks for listening to this episode of the podcast. Episodes are available anywhere you listen to podcasts. Please share this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review. Reach out to us if you have any questions from this episode or ones you would like answered in future episodes, and we will see you next time.